Hey 76ers, this is the Trash Panda, and in today's dumpster dive, I'm going to show you how to drop 3 nukes in rapid succession so that you can spawn in and kill 3 Scorch Beast Queens in less than 15 minutes. This is a great activity for you and your friends while farming the wasteland, and it provides the server you're on a rapid fight with only enough of a break to dump junk off into a scrap box before the next bout. You'll walk out with tons of Flux, treasury notes, and legendary drops, and you'll be well on your way before the next cryptid knows what hit them. So without further ado, let's break this tactic down that I like to call the Triple Manhattan. In order to do this, you're going to need yourself and 2 friends that you can communicate with throughout the fight. All 3 of you will need to be able to launch a nuke from a silo. If you need a guide on how to do this, then check out my most recent video on how to launch a nuke, both the long and the fast way. You'll need to be able to do the fast way if you want to get the timing down right. To start out, you will need to find a server that has all 3 missile silos available for launch. When you drop into a world, pull up your missile silo state holotape to check that none of them are on cooldown. Once you are in a good world, all 3 of you will each head to a different silo with your nuclear keycard, and then you'll go through launch prep. It is not required, but I do suggest that one person, after the first door glitch, turn around and use the terminal to open said door. This will help because one of you will need to leave the silo before launch and then head back in after one of the queen fights to execute the launch. Only having to glitch through one door instead of 2 makes things go a bit faster and ensures everyone gets the drops. Once you have all gone through launch prep, all 3 of you will insert your nuclear keycards and type in your launch codes. Now this is where the timing game starts. We will have the silos launch in alphabetical order, so Alpha will go ahead and launch the nuke on Fisher Site Prime. This will start a 3-minute countdown from the missile silo's launch to its impact. At this time, both Player 1 and Player 3 will head down to prep for the queen fight. Player 2 will stay at Bravo until it's time for their launch. Player 1 and Player 3, along with the rest of the server, will be there when the nuke drops and the first Scorch Beast Queen appears. They will damage her until she hits the 50% mark and mutates. This damage percentage must be communicated from players 1 and 3 back to player 2, or they will not know when to launch their nuke. Once the Scorch Beast Queen mutates, Player 2 will launch their nuke and head down to Fisher Site Prime so they can get credit for the event and get the drops from the first queen. This should all happen while nuke number 2 is still in the air, as it has a hang time of 3 minutes. Once the first queen dies, player number 3 needs to immediately fast travel back to Site Charlie. The laser grids will still be down if they didn't enter another silo, which they shouldn't have. They only need to then door glitch one door if they open the door like they were supposed to. Their nuclear keycard and launch code are already input, so they simply need to go to the targeting computer and wait for the signal to launch. Once the second Scorch Beast Queen hits the 50% mark, player 1 and player 2 will tell player 3 to launch. They can then head back to finish off the second Scorch Beast Queen before the third nuke impacts. Once the second queen is dead, just hang tight until the third nuke drops and kill the final Scorch Beast Queen. There are a few tips I can give you to ensure you get the timing right. I've already told you to open up the first door you glitch through after passing through it, specifically for the player that is launching last. The second tip is when the first queen dies and player 3 is trying to travel back to Site Charlie, have player 1 and 2 cover them because the fast travel timer will stop if player 3 is hit by any of the adds left behind after the queen dies. We will usually jump into drop site V9 or the back of someone's shelter and have players 1 and 2 cover the door so nothing can hit player 3 while they're trying to travel. The third is for one person to run a support setup. And no, I don't mean a healer running a medic's flamer and throwing stimpack diffusers. It is advantageous to be able to bring the queen down to the ground quickly and keep her there so that you can kill her before the next nuke impacts. To bring her to the ground, I run a pepper shaker with the limb damage effect, along with the perk cards Enforcer and One Gun Army. Both of these cards work with the pepper shaker as it is classified as a shotgun and a heavy gun. This will cripple her wings and she will drop to the ground fast. Now what I'm doing is a bit overkill, as you probably just need one of the perk cards and can go without the limb damage effect. But in my opinion, overkill is underrated. Once she is on the ground, I pull out my cryolator to freeze her in place so she doesn't take off again. So that's what I mean by support. You're not doing much damage to the boss, but your ability to ground her and keep her there is invaluable. The fourth tip is to adjust launch timing when there is either very little damage in the server or extremely high damage in the server. If there isn't a lot of damage in the server, then you might need to wait until the queen mutates and launch once she gets back down to the 75% or even the 50% mark. This will give you plenty of time to kill her before the next nuke drops. If there's very high damage in the server because everyone decided to show up with their Q5025 railways and their BE90 gap plazas, then you may need to launch the nuke long before she mutates. Otherwise, the player launching might miss the drop and not receive any rewards from the fight. The last tip I'll leave you with is simply one of convenience. I like to drop my survival tent next to the entrance of the silo I'm jumping to, and have another player on my team drop their survival tent at drop site V9. This simply eliminates any fast travel costs you would incur from hopping back and forth between the silos and the queen fight. So that's how we do it. It's a fun, fast-paced brawl that results in a ton of rewards in a short time period. Once you clear all 3 silos, you can hop servers and do it again. All you need is to swap silos around because your character will have a 3-hour cooldown for launching at the silo you just used. You can take this same concept and also use it for the Ultrasight Titan. We usually will launch our second and third nuke during the third phase of the fight, right as the boss emerges. This will give you plenty of time for all players to get the drops, and also the time needed to kill the Titan before the next nuke impacts. But play around with it and let me know how it works for you. Now, I'll show you the full sped up run through of the fight so you can see the concept in action. that's all we have time for today. I'd like to thank the Angry Pleb, Foombles, Bubbles, and Biggest Gearus for being my battle buddies for these nuke launches. Make sure you keep an eye out for them in your server, because if they're around, a boss fight is about to happen. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and until our next dumpster dive, this is the Trash Panda, signing off.